Welcome back to the Women Unleashed podcast. I am Britt, your co-host. I'm with Taylor, also your co-host. And today, for our second special guest of the year, we have Tim Thomas, the founder of Breathwork in Bed. Now, we are going to hear all about Tim and Breathwork in Bed throughout this episode. And the first thing we're going to do before we have any conversation is experience the breath work. So Tim, would you like to take us on a little journey?
I would absolutely love to do that for you and Taylor and anyone listening. My only request is be sure you're in a safe place, you're seated down, you're not driving, operating heavy machinery, because you're going to be going really deep and super relaxing. And to let all that goodness in, you've got to sort of give attention to your breath. I've done this with thousands of people, and I'm going to sort of coach you through bit by bit. And the idea is just to relax into this. It's an activity, but you don't have to get it right. You just sort of listen to my voice and allow your body to respond. So to start with, all we're going to do is simply breathe in and let it go. Now this time we're going to breathe in, but then breathe in again and again and again and again. With your eyes closed, that's an option as well. And then just let that go. Now, did you notice your initial inhale, and then when you're asked to breathe in again and again and again, it's like this extra space opened up above your chest. Okay, now a little bit of tension is often held here. So when you breathe into that space, often it sort of shakes out that little bit of tension. Now, I'll just invite you ladies to open your eyes so you can see what I'm doing with my fingers. My fingers here, what people don't know is you've got a little turbo button here. So your two fingers and your thumb push together. So you're going to breathe in on your first inhale, and that little extra bit, we'll call that your secondary inhale. When we get to the secondary inhale, we're going to push our fingers as hard as we can into our thumb, and we're going to notice that'll give us a big turbo boost. All right, so I'll give you a little demonstration. You're breathing in. When you get to that secondary inhale, hit those turbo buttons and allow yourself to inhale into that space a little bit more. Okay, so I invite everyone just to blow it all out, 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 out. Now breathe in and then hit those turbo buttons as hard as you can and hold that little bit of extra space and then just let it out. Now, did you notice that when you push those fingers together, you gave yourself a little boost and you could fit a little bit more air into your secondary inhale? Okay, the body has some incredible mechanics at work here. Now we're going to juice up that secondary inhale even more. So we're going to have our little turbo buttons in our thumbs and fingers, and we're going to think of our chin. Think of a triangle between our chin and our turbo buttons. And what we're going to do is, when it comes to the secondary inhale, yawning is really good, by the way. Yawning means you're dispelling any stuck energy. Because fun fact, we've got vagus nerves which sit behind the jaw. So when we yawn, we decompress the vagus nerve. So when I'm working with corporates or even high school students, I'll show them how to yawn into a towel and decompress the tension held in the vagus nerve, which is your body's regulation system. Okay, but we'll stay on point here. All I'm saying here is perfectly good if you're yawning. So let's just think of the chin and the two fingers, and that's your pyramid. So we're going to breathe in, and then we're going to hit the turbo buttons and raise our chin to the ceiling. Okay, raise our chin, raise our chest. Okay, so you blow it all the way out. Let's blow it all the way out, 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 out. Start breathing in, then hit your turbo button, raise your chin, almost like you're leaning backwards, Now hold it there, hold your breath and just wriggle your shoulders, feel it opening up that area, wriggle, and let it out with a sigh. All right. So we are halfway there. And what you've probably discovered is this breath up here holds a bit of tension. Now, I actually call this the breath of possibility. So when we feel like something's impossible, we often hunch over, we compress our chest. When I've got negative thoughts in my mind, I naturally hunch over. So if what I'll do when I'm in public and I've got stuff in my head that I don't want to be there, is I'll pinch my fingers together and really aggressively breathe into this space. Okay. And it makes the impossible possible. And these little fingers, they become circuit breakers for the negative stuff in my head. So that's why I know I need to breathe, but these little squeezing things on your fingers trip your body into going, oh, I need to breathe. Okay. So this is like a medicine button in many ways. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do it a little bit more rapidly. So I'm going to flare my nostrils when I breathe out, and I'm going to really suck it in as firmly as I can through my nose and over my sinuses, okay, as I raise my chin. I'll give you a little demonstration. It's going to go, okay, so my mouth is closed, and I'm forcing it in as much as I can through my nose. Is everyone ready for this?
Yes.
All right, so have your power buttons ready. Breathing out, 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 out. Now with your mouth closed, hit your power buttons and breathe in as rapidly as you can through your nose. Flare your nostrils. In. Good. Now wriggle that one around. Wriggle, wriggle, wriggle. Wriggle, wriggle, wriggle. And let it out with a sigh. Welcome to the world of breathwork.
Nice.
So,
thank you.
and it's actually going to get better if you can believe that. All right. So your lungs, divide them into one into thirds. Your top, your middle, and your bottom. Okay. So up here is the breath of possibility. Down here is the breath of peace. So what we're going to do here, we're going to rapidly inhale with with the power buttons and the chin. We're going to hold it. We're going to wriggle it down, wriggle it down, wriggle it down, wriggle it down. We're going to put our hands on our belly, We're going to hold it there. We're going to pressurize that. And then we're going to let it out super slow. Like the air wants to come out of our mouth, but our mouth is stopping it. And it's coming out with a tss. So, like a pressure cooker when that little bit of pressure comes out. So you pressurize your stomach and you let it out with a tss. And the longer you can make that noise for, the better things are going to be. All right. So
Okay.
you ready for this? I'll talk you through it. Have your power buttons ready. Have your chin ready. Get ready for that big snort. Blowing it all the way out. Out, 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 out. Now, closing your mouth, snort through your nose, look to the ceiling, hit your power buttons. In, fit some more in, wriggle backwards, wriggle it around. Now wriggle it through your middle chest, into your bottom. Hit your hands on your belly, put your hands on your belly, and let your head hang forward. Let your head go towards your knees. Feel like you're pressurizing that, and then let it out with a keep your head hanging forward. Now just allow your body to collapse like a deflating toy and let all that tension run out with that exhale. And then when you're ready, let's breathe in again. Pinch your fingers, snort through your nose. Hold it in nice and long. Wriggle, wriggle, wriggle. Let it collapse through your upper chest, middle chest, hands on your belly. Let your head hang really low, almost to your knees. Feel it in your hands, pressurize it, let it out with a long as possible. Picture your body deflating like a bouncy castle. All the tension is leaving it as you exhale. And then when you're ready, last one all the way in. Make this one extra big. Power buttons raising up. Open it like you're leaning back doing limbo. Now wriggle it around. Feel that spine getting wriggled. Wriggle in your seat. Let it collapse down. Hands on your belly. Push it down low as you can go. Head down low, and let it out twice as slow. And feel how your body is just deflating. All the tension is deflating away, flowing out of your body. Just let your breath do what it does. Now, I just invite you to just sit in the chair and allow that chair to take your weight. Really, that chair was built to take your weight. Allow it to support your muscles, allow your muscles to feel supported. So often, our tension, we don't allow ourselves to feel supported. It's like our tense muscles are trying to hold us and protect us. But feeling supported doesn't work like that. If you just relax and let that chair take your weight, you'll feel how wonderful it is to feel that support. So I hope you enjoyed that little breathwork experience, those simple 3 proper breaths.
I did.
How was that for you, Taylor?
It was good.
Yeah.
It was good. I don't think I breathed properly, so I think it was nice. Nice to breathe, you know? No, it's good. I enjoy it. My body's, yeah. I hunch a lot too, so which I've noticed from doing this podcast how much I can see it. I didn't realize, so it feels it's good. I like it. What about you, Britt?
Yeah, I loved it. I found that last out breath really hard, like going really slow. I don't know. Sometimes I go extra, extra. So when someone says go really slow, I'm like go 100 times really slow, and it's too slow. But that like chest opening, like that upper bit, I don't breathe into there very often at all. So yeah, I loved it. Thank you, Tim. And I felt all lightheaded when I started wriggling it around, and like I love yawning too. Yawning's the best.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really enjoy a yawn.
Well, there's good reason for that. But one thing about breath work, proper breathing gives you proper alignment. So most people don't breathe properly because they're hunched forward and they don't know it. Okay. So if I was to go side profile and I'm hunched over, I've compressed all my structure. And one of the reasons why breathwork gives you more energy isn't just because you've got more oxygen. Is think of your, we're an electrical circuit. Our nerves are like hose pipes. Okay, so if you pinch a hose, you'll have less water going through. So that's less power going through your system. So when we're hunched over, we're pinching off all the power that's flowing through our body. So when we breathe and stretch open, we create more space. We've got more structural alignment. So when I worked with the British Special Forces, they showed that 80% of all injuries for lower back, knees, and shoulders were related to the angle of your hips and the angle of how you held your body. And they showed that for every degree difference in alignment, there was an 8 to 12% drop in strength. So let's just say you could hold 100 kilos on your shoulders. If you are out of alignment by a degree, your overall strength drops to 92 to 88 kilos. See what I mean? So just by
Yeah.
proper structure gives you more energy, gives you more strength, gives you more power. And this is what breath work does. But unfortunately, breathing is our birthright, but because everyone's doing it wrong, everyone thinks it's normal. So that's why when I coach this stuff, to have a physiological trigger like your fingers driving together and layering it with your own possibility, and I use that to clear my head. That then becomes an ability. Well, you basically realize we don't own lungs; we own a medicine cabinet with a lot of different shelves. Okay. Working with high school students, I'll show them how to breathe a certain way to get through exam stress and focus. When I'm working with corporates, they like an afternoon pick me up. When I'm working with people that want to sleep, people that want to get out of bed, it's a self-prescribed medicine cabinet, or as I like to think, it's actually like a magician's shelf. It's literally the magic that creates in your body and the changes that can take place. It's transformative. You look nothing like you used to. For me, it's very obvious getting out of bed when I feel like lead, and I'll do breath work for 5 minutes before getting out of bed, and I transform that lead into gold. Even though there's a part of me, that lead part that feels like a bear that doesn't want to be woken from hibernation, that says this is bullcrap, it's not going to work. But bit by bit by bit by bit, it doesn't. And I thought, well, if this works for such a bear like me getting out of bed, I've got to create something where other people can access it as well.
It's such a good point you said earlier about how people don't even, because they just take breathing for granted. I assumed I knew how to breathe. And 5 years ago, I went running with my now fiance, and he was telling me to breathe whilst I ran or something. We had some conversation about the breath. Anyway, I noticed that when I was running, when I was breathing in, I was pushing my stomach in. And then when I was breathing out, I was pushing my stomach out. So I was actually breathing opposite. Like the stomach
Yeah.
movement was opposite to the normal breath. And I have no idea how I wound up there, but it took conscious effort and awareness of myself to retrain the way to breathe for a good 6 months. And now I do it automatically. And I, sometimes think about, um, it. And I'm not saying I breathe like correctly all the time, but at least now, like when I breathe in, my stomach and my diaphragm like kind of enlarges rather than doing the opposite.
Oh, it
Yeah.
is so amazing. And it always amazes me how many professional athletes don't know how to breathe properly. But the other reason why people don't know about this sort of stuff is no one's making money from it. Okay. And it points to a larger picture that the value that you have is outside of you. We don't look for the value that's inside of us, because if we see all the value and resources that we have inside of us, we become sovereign. We don't need all this commercial crap that they're trying to sell us all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what I like about breathwork. It tilts the scale into the value and resources that you've got underneath your own skin. And the thing is, we have to see that before anyone else does, because there's not too many people out there that genuinely want to connect you to something powerful, because once you have that connection, um, you don't need resales. I don't see myself as a breathwork coach. I see myself as the person who introduces you to the love of your life. You are going
Yeah,
to have
that's
this
cool.
love of your life there whenever you need it. 3 a.m., 7 a.m., whenever you need it, it's going to be there. It'll be the future changes when you realize just how much power you've got in your own corner.
So Tim, tell us, like, when did you have this idea to have this app? Like, what was
Okay.
going on? And yeah.
Well, breathwork for me started when I was fatigued as hell in Afghanistan, 2009, on deployment with the Australian Special Forces. I was trained to deal with fatigue, but it goes to a whole new level when you're in a war zone. You've got to be on your guard 24/7. You've lost mates, you've got limbs blown off others, and you never got anything that you'd call sleep. But I noticed that one thing they teach us, but to shoot a rifle correctly, you've got to get front sight, rear sight, and they get you to take a deep breath in, let it out, and then squeeze. So a lot of modalities out there have discovered the power of breathwork, but they use it to sort of for their own means. Okay, so in the military sense, obviously this breathwork thing works, but we'll use it to help them shoot better. Okay, so at nighttime, I would picture my left hand, my non-dominant hand, and I would just breathe into my left thumb. Okay, and I'd breathe like light into my left thumb, and then I'd breathe light into my left pointer finger, my left index finger, and I'd go through my digits, my hand, my arm, my body, and whatever sleep I got it was so much higher quality. And I woke up, if I went to bed with 2 cents worth of energy, I woke up with 50 cents. Okay, and I'm like, I don't understand what's going on, but I'm just going to keep pushing this button that I put 2 cents in, I get 50 cents back, right? And then it started building me up to a point where I could do a bit of extra exercise. It's not like I wasn't busy, but just looking after your own body, like some push-ups, some lifting some ammunition cartons. And I got myself to a level, I'm like, oh man, this stuff kind of works. But then I realized I'm in a team, and if my team's having a bad day, I'm having a bad day. And so then I discovered the power of servanthood, but not servitude, like how to serve others and build them up. Because who did I want around me when good times turn bad? So even if I'm being completely selfish, it makes a lot of sense to be in servanthood to others. My survivability certainly goes up. But the Breathwork in Bed app really came about when, because I took this, I got out of defense. I went through my own PTSD, lost 6 years of my life to pills because I said I couldn't sleep. And I didn't know breathwork was something that could help me sleep. I didn't know breathwork was something that could heal my body, reduce the inflammation. I got a lot of chronic injuries. And, there's a time and a place for pills. Sometimes they're the lesser of two evils, but no one tells you the cost of taking them, and no one tells you how hard it is to get off of them. There's a benefit from taking them, but there's a hell of a cost as well. And I lost a lot of memories. Like there's a lot of stuff I just can't remember. It's like this blur.
Is that because you whilst you were on the
pills? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I was working in the veteran space. I had a lifetime goal of saving 40 veteran lives from suicide. That actually was achieved within a year. But
that's awesome.
But the time when Breathwork in Bed was born was I'd just gotten divorced. I'd lost my house, my home, money, regular access to kids. I had a car, a dog, and I was sleeping in the lounge room of my parents' house. And you better believe at 3 a.m., my head was not letting me sleep. And I sincerely believe it's not what you do that makes you valuable to others. It's what you've gone through. And that was my, I could have become the villain or I could have become the hero. And I was going nuts. I was about to do some form of self-harm, pills, alcohol, whatever it was. And here's the thing. I knew that breath work was something that would calm my nervous system, but it's like I couldn't do it, right? Because breath work is a conscious as well as an unconscious thing. And I'm about to go nuts. I'm about to do self-harm. But then I looked at my left thumb and I said, Tim, you can take one breath. Just take one fucking breath. And I drove it into my chest as hard as I could. And I went, it was like the first breath of coming up from underneath water. I'm like, okay, that worked. Let's take two. I took 2 fingers and drove them into my chest as hard as I can. I took 2 breaths. Okay, 3 fingers, get to 5. I got to 5. I got to 6. I got to 10. And then somewhere between 15 and 25 breaths, my mind got transformed. And I started to see a pattern. My mind was like a garden. Whatever I watered grew. And for years, I was watering the weeds of stress. Okay. And those stress weeds, they grow to a certain size and then eyeballs pop out of them and they become sentient. All right. They know what feeds them and they know what kicks them out. Okay. So without knowing it, these stress weeds were controlling me. So at 3 a.m., these stress weeds were loving it and they were paralyzing me from doing the thing that would kick them out of the garden. Okay. But then between breath 15 and 25, it was like the rest of my brain said, thank goodness you kicked those fuckers out of here. Keep doing this. This is working. And it was after that, I'm like, okay, this actually works. How many other people out there are struggling with this in silence and they don't see this as a potential option? But it also needs to be guided because I'm a pretty disciplined dude, and it took me to go to hell and back just to drive that thumb into my finger. But if I had a button I could push to guide my breath and just trust that voice to breathe a certain way to kick the stress weeds out, that would have been a whole lot easier. So, I felt like I was put through that shit so I could turn it into fertilizer to help me grow and help everyone else grow. And it took me several years to turn that shit into fertilizer, but hopefully I can do that for other people in far less time.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's
absolutely brilliant.
Wow.
So when you say I can help people do that in far less time, right? Like, let's just dive straight in. You've got the app, like you're there, you want to go to bed, you can't fall asleep. I'm imagining you just pick up your phone and put your AirPods in and you just like, I can't go to sleep.
Even easier, because I'm not a techno person. I don't like tech. You know, so many people said, I'll download an app, and I'm like, it doesn't reach me when I'm in a state of, you know, discomfort, right? So I
Yeah, I
made
get
the
that.
app to meet people where they are. So when you go into it, it gets to know you a bit, but then it asks you two critical questions. When do you want to sleep? And when do you want to wake up? And then it just falls out of your phone. So if I can just hit a button and then it automatically happens, then, you know, I do the things that are easy and effortless a lot more than things that are hard. You know, so when people are fatigued and a bit stressed, they just want to say, here's what I want, take care of it for me. So the app is
Mm.
structured to just fall out when you need it.
That's fantastic. So if you do go to bed at a regular time, you can just get yourself ready. Sorry, Taylor's cat
I'm
is
so
just
sorry.
having a cameo performance on the podcast. It's all right. Don't worry.
Sorry,
We
someone's
like
coming to
furry
get him.
friends.
Apologies. Okay.
And yeah, so it just falls out, as you said, falls out of the phone. You're ready, about to go to sleep. And the same thing when you wake up. Is that right?
Well, yeah. So normally you'd set your alarm clock to say 5 or 10 minutes earlier. Your alarm will go off, and then you'll see the notification there from the breathwork in bed. You hit that, press play, and then instead of, you know, forcing yourself out of bed with willpower, which is kind of hard to find when you're first getting up, you're just laying there. You're breathing, you're moving, you're massaging a certain part of you, but bit by bit by bit by bit by bit, it just starts transforming what would be a really difficult experience into, oh my gosh, this is actually working. Um,
Mm.
and you know, I'm a highly, being an ex-soldier, I'm a practical guy. This stuff has to work at the worst. I don't like bits of kit that fail me when I really need them. That's like a nightmare. So I try to make the wake up routine as bulletproof as possible. And the other thing that is weird to me but super powerful, so I included it, is it's one thing to breathe and activate your body and turn your body into gold, but your mind needs to be turned into gold as well. So without knowing it, when we wake up, often we have these stories running in our head. Oh, you know, another day, crap, 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 right? What's included, what's offered as a bonus feature is mirror work. So you're saying positive affirmations in the mirror. Okay. And as much as I'm like, this is stupid, this isn't going to work, but then it works. And I'm like, well, I can't ignore the power that's here, and I have to include this. So connecting to your body is one thing. And then saying these positive affirmations before you even start your day, giving yourself that nourishment and alignment, you know, being sovereign. You know, ideally, I want people knowing that they can give themselves, nourish themselves, all the things that they're looking for outside the door. You know, because I think there are unspoken parts of us that are needing nourishment, and then our physical body misinterprets that and goes, oh, if I had that car or job or accomplishment, that would nourish that unseen part of me that's crying out. I disagree. I think you can chase those things, but first nourish yourself, be a sovereign person, and then as you go into your day, know that this is just cream on the cake. This is a victory lap. You know, I've got in touch with those unseen deep parts of me before I even left the house today. And so I'm negotiating with the day from a position of strength and abundance, and dare I say, generosity.
Yeah, excellent. So good.
It's amazing. It's really, yeah, sorry. I was just saying it's amazing. It's great.
So, Tim, how long did it take to put this app together? Like, and I'm sure you probably came up against some own challenges of yourself. Like, and that's something we love exploring on and sharing with our listeners is like, what were those uncomfortable parts and how did you move through it?
Yeah, I'm really good at self-sabotaging. If things don't happen in my timeline, I'm like, stuff you guys, you know, and then I get to justify my behavior by saying, you know, I'm right, you're wrong. And but here's what kept me going forward, Britt and Taylor, is I don't have the privilege of taking all my dumb shit to the grave with me. Okay? Like if in my family, I've never met my great great grandfather, right? But I'm pretty sure he was an angry dude. So he didn't get resolution for his own anger, and he passed it forward to his kids and kids, and I had it, right? So when I realized that the dumb stuff that I do in my life doesn't die with me. I don't get that's not a privilege I have. I pay that forward to my kids. I pay it forward to everybody who meets me. Okay. So once you actually get to see that this is not going anywhere, I said, anger ran in my family till it ran into me. This stops here. I'm going to heal the generations before me. I'm going to heal the generations after me. And when you get that totality about what it is you want to do, you use what you do to just push to the surface all that shit that doesn't work inside of you. I'd get emotional to a point where I just would justifiably tell people to F off, and fortunately I had a business partner who knows, as he puts it, I've just got to talk Tim out of his tree every now and then, talk him out of the tree. Come on, little kitty, come on, down you get, and they go, yeah. All right, you're all wrong. Go get stuff. So if it wasn't, there's an unhealed 5-year-old inside, and it wants to be heard.
I love it. That's great. That is
so good.
That's perfect.
I need a moment, because what you just said is so impactful, Tim. And I'm sure people have said it to me in many other ways, but it hasn't hit me now until you just said it. And we don't, our anger, our trauma, our shit, our self-destructive behaviors, our judgments, that doesn't die when we die. That gets passed on. And it doesn't get passed on when you die. It's already fucking passed on. By the people you interact with and how you engage with the world and people around you. And fuck, man, I was under some illusion that I wasn't, it's my shit, and I'm not impacting anyone. And if I die this way, I'll be okay with it. But, wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
What a gift.
How you doing, Taylor?
Yeah, fun. Yeah, good. Yeah, I agree. Brits, yeah. I have a daughter, so that was it was actually something I was really terrified about when I had her, was how much my shit was going to impact her and what I was going to do about it. It's a work in progress, but yeah, it's it's going to happen. I have no words. But yeah, it does. You're right. It doesn't, and it's not even just your kids, right? It's your partner and family members and people you work with, your friends.
Oh, look, I find those people all the time when I'm driving in traffic.
Yeah.
That's a good indicator of ancestral, crap.
Yeah, big time.
And I can see now, by having people connected with themselves at the start of the day, even if they have a lot of stuff to deal with, they can still choose not to, but you're bringing it to the surface, basically.
There's two parts of your brain. One is the reactive part, and that's faster than your higher thinking part. Your higher thinking part can see stuff. It's like putting a drone 3K in the air. It sees everything. And I'll just share with you a lived experience, so it's not just a theory, right? So Afghanistan 2009, we got cut off in an ambush, okay? We were going into an RPG ambush, rocket propelled grenade ambush. And that wasn't anything new. It happened pretty much every day. But on this occasion, we knew it was coming. And the way it worked was the heavily armored vehicles go to the rear of the convoy, because that's where the weakest link is. And that's where they always attack, the last vehicle. It's least defended. And in the rush beforehand, and I was just in a 4-drive with the roof cut off. Okay, this heavily armored vehicle cut us off, and we were now the rear vehicle in the convoy. So we were heading into this kill box, as they call it, and we were about to get lit up by RPGs. And my vehicle commander looked back and said, fellas, if this goes the way I think it will, it's been an honor serving with you. All right. Now, when that happened, I went into my very small thinking reactive brain, and I did what I normally do. I got angry as hell at this mofo that cut us off, because I'm thinking he's just looking after his own ass. You know, I'm seeing my own ramp ceremony where they carry the dead soldier with the flag over it down the ramp of the airplane. I'm seeing my then wife and my kids crying, and I'm just losing it. And I am not thinking of anything other than that guy is wrong. This is unjust. And if I'm looking at the context of how much I could see, I was sort of seeing about that much. Okay, of the picture. I couldn't think outside of it. I wasn't even thinking of the guys in the car with me, right? I'm just thinking about me. But the way I got access to higher thinking was with a question, because we're social mammals. Like, if we know we've got each other's back 100%, like we really know that, then everything else is a very small detail. You know, we don't need more stuff. We need more trust in this world. Because when we get that, it's surprising how little you need, right? But in that state of, I was getting reactive because I felt all alone. And I asked a question on myself that has sculpted me to this day and got me into my higher thinking. And that was, Tim, who do you know who's done this before, and how did they get through it? You know? And I'm like, shit, I don't know anybody. You know, the night got darker and Australia seemed very far away, and I began to feel incredibly alone. But then I started thinking outside my timeline. And I'm like, you know what? I do know somebody who, on a night as dark as this, came up against an enemy that was waiting for them. The Anzacs, going up the beach at Gallipoli. And what did those guys do? They kept moving forward. The outside world could not stop them from seeing the power inside of them. And even though most of those guys are dead, this is over 100 years ago, it's like a portal in time opened up, and these Anzacs came through, and they're like with me in that moment. And, on Anzac Day in Australia, we say, lest we forget. But it was like those Anzacs were poking me in the chest saying, lest you forget. Lest you forget the power inside of you. Lest you forget the power of looking after your mates. And in that moment, my isolation was broken, and it was like my whole body was illuminated. It was like the sun coming up at midnight. I went from reactive, angry, fuck you, Tim, to the Tim where it's like, no, we can get above this. And I'm like, well, what do we know right now? I know we're traveling about 35 Ks an hour. I know RPGs, rocket propelled grenades, self-destruct at 1,500 meters. So they're probably going to be shooting at us between 8 and 1,200 meters. So if you work the arcs, I worked out 35 kilometers an hour at that arc. We're probably going to be in the kill box for 3 to 5 minutes. All right. And then I literally saw my circulatory system jump out in front of me, and I could see the blood like a road map going down to my arms, going down to my legs, going up to my brain. And I look at it, and I'm like, the only bit of critical infrastructure here is my brain. I've just got to keep positive pressure to my brain, and I'll be fine. I can lose an arm. That's fine. I've just got to tourniquet it off, like pinch it off so it maintains pressure to my brain. So I got 2 tourniquets, put it on my chest, because I got to be ready to do it for the guys in the vehicle as well. And I thought, well, look, even if I bleed out and die, I got my brothers here. They're going to revive me at the end with a saline drip. Okay. So see how that trust came into play as well. And with that, getting out of that reactive state where I had no energy, no options, and having more options, it's amazing what happens. Before we hit the kill box, I said to myself, you know what? They might find my body in 5 minutes' time. But you know what they're not going to find? Magazines full of bullets. I'm emptying all ammunition on this one. And then I'm like, you know what, Tim, that is not a bad way to live. Whether you die in 5 minutes' time or 50 years' time, your magazines contain simple bullets. But your mind, Britt, your mind, Taylor, contains something so much more powerful than simple bullets. It contains ideas, hopes, and dreams. You know, why die with that stuff inside of you? Surely at the end of your life, you want to say, I emptied the clip. I emptied everything. I expended all my ammunition. And then I'm like, fucking bring it on. You know, it was just funny how shifting from one part of your brain to the next part of your brain gave you so much more options. So I had to go to that extreme to get that mind map, because if I woke up in the morning and I was in a state of disconnect, I got very limited options in front of me. And it's usually I've got to get my way or I get angry. But if I connect powerfully and I've got more options, then really it's amazing what comes to you when you've got more energy and more options.
Fantastic, Tim. That's an incredible story. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, thank you.
It's just really, really impactful, very powerful.
Yeah.
Taylor, do you have any questions for Tim?
No, I'm just blown away. It's just a big episode. Thank you. Thanks for...
It's a big conversation.
Yeah, it's a big conversation. And I like that question about what would have someone else done in my position or done before me. I think that's really good in all walks of life. Like I'm a stay-at-home mum, and that's like a great question. Like, like what would another mum have done in this position? Take it out, because I think you again, I'm not in situations like you were, but you kind of get a bit of this tunnel vision when you're up against it, and you just feel like there's only, like, I've really been noticing it lately. I get this like mindset. I'm like, there's only one way to do something. And then I go, hang on, calm down. Like there is
Take a breath.
not. Yeah, like there is not. This is not the only way. And then I go, okay, how else can we, like that might be the right way, everyone, but it's not the only way, and I just take a step back. But yeah, I think you get that tunnel vision because you get all anxious in your brain and you're like, and I can't do anything else. And then no other options are open. And taking that breath and taking that, taking yourself out of it and looking at the big picture, I think really does. Well, that's what I've taken as well from what you've said. So thank you.
That's actually the most brilliant question you can ask, Taylor. If you ask yourself a genuine question, how many other people are in my situation right now? Whether it's being a mum, whether it's being someone going through a particular emotional distress, or everyone's up against something. There's some obstacle that you want to overcome. If you ask that golden question, how many other people are in that same situation? And give it a number. Don't make it woo-woo. Like, okay. That's a real thing. Like in 2011, I was about to kill a man. The government wasn't paying me. I was going to do this one for free. This was murder. All right. I'd reached rock bottom in my PTSD. And then I thought, I guess the right thing to do is see a psychologist I've never met before. I go see him. I tell him all the stuff that happened in Afghanistan. And then at the end, he goes, do you think it was a problem with your mum and dad? Everything in that room froze. And I saw he had a glass frame psychology degree behind him. And in my state of disconnect, it made a lot of sense to feed it to him, because this guy was supposed to be a healer, and he wasn't just not healing, he was hurting people. So I thought it makes sense to remove him. So I get out of my chair to do it. But then I felt a hand on my chest and the words, red flag, Tim. You're the toughest mofo you know. How many other guys are struggling in a system that doesn't seem to want to help it and doesn't care? And when I sat back down, that golden question of how many other people, I saw them. I saw all these people, thousands of people left and right of me, looking towards where I was, saying, Tim, if you can find a way forward for you, you can find a way forward for us. And in that moment, I broke my isolation, because when I was isolated, I could have done all sorts of dumb stuff. I could have killed a man, because that's what dumb stuff does when you're isolated and disconnected from your fellow human. So when I saw all those other people, it was a case of, well, it doesn't matter if it takes me a week, a month, a year, a decade. I've got to find a way forward. Because this is so hard, I've got to find a way forward, because I'm pretty sure at some point in the future, there's going to be people really glad I made a certain choice right here and now. So, really give it a number, whatever you're up against. It could be 100, it could be 1,000, could be 10,000. So you're no longer just one person. You're no longer just 1 in 10,000 people going to get healing, 1 in 10,000 people dealing with your daughter. Okay. You are 10,000 people in one. You see how that works? So there's 10,000 people getting closure. I even dial it to, there's 10,000 people I'd pick up cigarette butts as my act of generosity to the environment. So it's not just me doing it, there's 10,000 people. And when you can dial into the fact that there is a tangible number of people going through what you're going through, whatever it is. I had to go to my extreme to get it through my thick head and map it out. If I didn't, I'd be in jail. And now my gift is just articulating something that everyone kind of knows, but they just needed it spoken to. Okay.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. I like that it makes you not feel alone as well, that thought process. Like you're that, it's kind of like an individual circumstance, but it's not.
Well, I put it to you, the only time we can't handle stuff is when we do feel alone.
Yeah.
And when the more connected we are, the more powerful we are. Because if I'm only at 10%, everything is hard, because everything is hard at 10%. If I'm 100% connected, stand back and watch. And this is where I've noticed, just from self-convenience, that the powerful connections inside my own skin have a much higher likelihood of having me making powerful connections outside of my own skin. So I don't chase the connections outside of me. I don't chase having a good car or good shoes or a good relationship or whatever. I'll get this right, become sovereign, enhance my own value, do that daily, find the thing that works for you, because energy is like money. How you invest, it's how you get it back. And, Britt, you, Taylor, you've got a unique energy signature. Everyone listening to this has a unique energy signature. The thing that you invest energy into, that gives you a good return. Okay. And I think your destiny is finding those things that give you a good return. And they're not always comfortable things. I didn't want to go for a run this morning in the rain, but I knew history shows that if I put $100 worth of energy into a run, I'm going to get 10,000 back. And I always ask myself a question: what kind of person do I want to be? I want to be an energetic millionaire. That's how I want to live my life, an energetic millionaire. Because if I've only got 50 cents and we all get taken from, if someone takes 25 cents from me and I've only got 50 cents, I've got to take that back, because that's a massive withdrawal. And I'll spend years trying to get that 25 cents back. But it's stopping me seeing that I could make $1 million the next day. So you see how there's that reframe. Do I want to chase the 25 cents, or do I want to just make another $1 million tomorrow? Keep it, Yeah,
I love it. That's really cool, Tim. Thank you so much. Like, you've really given us a lot today, and our listeners, like, so many perspectives, and to come at, like, your life, breath work, what it can do for you. And thank you. Thank you so much. It's
Britt,
really valuable.
I want to share something that gets me most excited. It's not that, like, science has proven now that breath work does help you sleep better at night. Great, right? But think of everything in your life, right? Everything. The quality of those things in your life is relative to the quality of your sleep. Okay? Sleep is the soil from which everything grows. And going off the concept of soil, I believe and I know that inside each and every one of us, there are these dormant seeds of greatness, dormant seeds of uniqueness that are just waiting for them to germinate. Okay. And if you go into the idea of, the dumb shit we do doesn't die with us, those dormant seeds of greatness, if we don't grow it, it'll get passed down to the next generation. Okay. Well, you didn't grow it. It's going to be passed on to the next one. So sleep as a basis is good, but what gets me really excited is there's an accumulative effect on quality sleep and a quality morning routine. Those dormant seeds of greatness cannot not grow when the soil quality is improved, because they're just lying in wait for the right amount of energy for them to germinate and flourish. So what gets me excited is all the, standing back and watching the show of these people who are discovering all this awesome stuff that was already in them. They just needed the right environment for it to flourish.
Yeah, wow. Yes, that is what we are about, Tim.
Yes, yes.
That is so cool. So, look, it's time to wrap it up. We've had, I love how Taylor puts it. I feel like we could talk for weeks, but, we don't have weeks right now. We have minutes. Where would you like people to interact with you? Which platforms? Where do they find the app? Is it Apple or Android? Like, what is it? Give us the world.
Well, anyone with a phone can look up 3 words in their app store. Breathwork, 1 word, in bed. Breathwork in bed. It'll ask you when you want to sleep, when you want to wake up, and we'll take care of the rest. There's
Fantastic.
a bunch of bonus features in there, but if you want to improve your sleep, that is the place to start. There's like I said, I don't want to spoil it, but there's a heap of bonus features especially in the wake up track, and you'll notice if you can win the first 10 minutes of the day, you've won the day. And right now we just assume that we're supposed to sleep poorly and get out of bed feeling crap. Imagine all that, 180 degree turned around. And that's, I can't do what you do, Britt. I can't do what you do, Taylor, or anyone that's listening. But if I can help improve your sleep, then the quality of everything is going to improve.
Brilliant. And there's a variety of people on there, including me.
Yes, that's right, Britt. You're on there.
I'm on there. You can listen to me I think it's go to sleep. I did a going to sleep track, didn't I? So
I've personally tested that.
What a superstar.
Yay.
That's very cool.
There we go. Well, Taylor, would you like to wrap it up for us today?
Yes. Thank you so much, Tim, for being on our show today. It was an absolute pleasure. I think I'm a little bit speechless. That was there's a lot to unpack there that I'll be thinking about for a few days, I think. So we'll have everything about Tim and what he's offering in the show notes for our listeners. We appreciate you all. Make sure to follow us we're on every platform. Thank you. We love you and appreciate you, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bonus feature, I'm going to give you a link for the first 20 people that click it will get my audiobook free.
Oh, excellent.
Awesome. We'll put that in the show notes too. Thank you. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.